Too much of me.
Yeah. Frame your shoulders just right.
I want less of me, but I also don't want the light in it.
Hey, your treadmill is the wrong way. Your treadmill is the wrong way.
It is for me to be happy. It's in the correct position for me to be.
Okay, that's fair.
Do
you use it by lying on the ground and just kind of kicking your legs at it sometimes? Is This a Ghost? Is sponsored by our good friends at Pickney Bend Distillery. You've had gin before.
Me?
Yeah, you.
Yeah. On my 21st birthday, that was the first. I had 21 shots of gin. Actually,
yeah. You were going. You were doing the whole.
I was going gin crazy, and then I went swing dancing.
The F. Scott Fitzgerald, we call it.
Before the start of the Great War. Anyway, that was why I discovered gin.
Thought this is so good. I love gin, and I wonder who invented it. And what you probably don't know is that the answer is Pickney Bend Distillery. Gin was invented in 2011 by.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. If you read the books now, they'll try to make you think it was around before. That's propaganda. That's Big Still trying to trick you into thinking that that whatever they had is older and better than Pickney Bend. That's not true. Gin wasn't around before 2011. So if you have a bottle of gin that says, "Oh, our company was founded in 1918 or whatever,"
then lawyer up.
That's right.
They are fucking with you.
That's exactly right. And if you want the best and most original gin in the world, then you're going to want Pickney Bend's gin because it's so good. And it's a gin everyone else copies. Everyone else is like,
Yep. They're like Kleenex. They're like, honestly, they're like the Kleenex of gin. Is really what they are.
They wouldn't tell you that, but I think that's right. And I think we can say that.
In fact, maybe even deny that. But
that's right.
I would say it's probably true. Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely the Kleenex of gin. And all that other stuff is just the tissue of gin. So you want to go big, go Kleenex.
Or the dumpster. There could be the dumpster of gin.
The dumpster of gin. Yeah. Everyone else is the trash bin, but they're the dumpster.
Yeah, exactly.
Be the Kleenex dumpster of gin is their motto, and they nail it every day after day, day in, day out. They do.
Just like this ad.
And PINCKNEYBEND.com. Go check out the dumpster Kleenex of gin for yourself and tell them that Patrick specifically sent you.
Oh. We will see if she listened this week. I've got a feeling she won't.
We'll get a letter if she does. I would love if we got a cease and desist letter from our own sponsor.
Yeah. It's like, no, I'm afraid that we cannot be stopped now. If you choose to continue sending us gin, then we will stop the ads. But it doesn't work the other way around.
Oh boy. All right.
Let's clapped.
Should we clap? It's time for the intro.
We did the ad.
Yep.
We did the intro. After like 60 episodes, I think I'm starting to remember.
It's good. You don't even have notes. Yeah. That's great. You're doing a good job.
I don't.
Who else is texting me? Everyone stop texting me. Okay. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Is This a Ghost? I'm Clayton Smith, and every week I tell my real friend Patrick Dean a real ghost story from real history, and he doesn't take it real seriously. I almost forgot your last name.
Yeah, well, it happens. Who's behind you?
Why would you say that? Oh, God, it's a cat. Jesus Christ.
That's French fry. I just saw some movement back behind you. I thought, what the devil?
That's French fry. Now that my walls only go about 80% of the way to the ground because of our last flooding, the cats they've learned they can just come in here whenever.
That's fair. Yeah. I mean, the good news is that because of the last flooding, the current flooding was a lot less disastrous. Would you agree?
I would agree. I think it's a blessing in disguise that we flooded 2 months ago, and that the insurance and construction companies have been so terrible because otherwise last night's flooding would have really messed this place up.
Thankfully, it's never going to rain again for the rest of time.
Think so. I wouldn't think so. I think we've figured out rain. We've solved that problem. And last night was the last one.
Will the construction workers be a little confused when they come in and you say things like, can you not put on the bottom 20% of the wall because it's just going to get wet again?
When I say, actually, this is kind of working for us, can you please leave it like this? They might not they might love it because I think they're going to bill the insurance company the same amount no matter what.
You want me to leave, but you're still going to pay me $6,000. Yes. I like your ideas. I like your vision.
We did get 9 inches of rain yesterday, which is so much rain. And you know, I don't want to talk about it anymore than I already have because it's very upsetting. I didn't realize that we were buying a house in a floodplain because there's not a lot of water close by.
I mean, it's Chicago. The whole thing is a floodplain.
Well, the whole thing is a plane, but you don't expect it to be a floodplain necessarily, you know?
The disclosures are very clear. They just said plain. They didn't say floodplain.
Yeah, no one ever talks about the great floodplains of Oklahoma and Nebraska.
Yeah, exactly. That's because we live there, but it's fair.
But you live and you learn, and now the next place we're going to live is, I think, on the coast because nothing's going to happen there.
No, because you're already at the water.
Yes, so you're prepared for it. Yeah. It's my Aaron's brother and his family came over yesterday because they were in town from California, and they stopped by the house, and their 2 kids came in, and they were the first thing they said when they got in the house was, "Can we go see your basement? We've never seen one." And I said, This is not the basement that you want to be introduced to at this point. It's not great right now.
Admittedly, I mean, every basement they see from then on will be a step up from that.
That's true.
basement.
So that is a service that I guess we have provided them. That's true. That's a happiness service.
You let them see it.
You invited them downstairs. Sure did.
Jesus Christ.
Sure did. And I was like, okay, this isn't normal, and this isn't normal, and here's what this looks like. And it took about half an hour to make sure that they understood that sometimes all these different pieces were different.
Even though you're having a great time crawling under the walls between the bedrooms, it's not normal.
It's not normal.
You have to do that.
It is cool, but it's not normal. Yeah. So that's me. Hey, happy Independence Day.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Happy July 3rd.
I appreciate that. That means a lot. That means a lot to me.
You're welcome.
It really does.
I know that you really you hold this holiday.
You know
dear.
that I'm independent.
Yeah. Yeah. I know that you've built a giant wall around your house and told everyone to please stay away. So this is a holiday for you. Were you off work today? Because it is the 3rd, not the 4th. You had to work?
No, I had to work.
Guess we didn't have class today.
I mean,
it's me.
I could have burned a vacation day today, but today's the day that like 90% of people do burn vacation days, which makes it the perfect day to come into the office.
Yeah, that's the best day. It's like a vacation in the office.
Yeah. So
that is nice.
Like a little Hawaiian shirt, sandals. It was pretty.
A harried father in one hand, and an Applejack in the other. Well, that's great. Gloria was right. This does look like toilet paper.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't want to say anything, but
this is for those of you watching on YouTube, this is an IKEA light that we had to move because part of this room was flooded. Not this part where I'm sitting.
The podcast studio got flooded? Oh, that's terrible. I sleep down there.
You'll be happy to know that I had the foresight of picking the surge protector off the floor and putting it onto the desk when it started raining.
It's a good idea.
So we're good. And it was the seepage flood, not the backup flood. So it smells fine in here.
Yeah, that's good. I'm glad you have a room that you can differentiate.
Yes, it smells. I'd say damp, but damp it could be worse. It could be worse. Yes. Anyway,
toilet paper. I'm sorry, man.
Would you like me to move? Is it distracting? Should I move? I can move it.
No, I enjoy it. It looks very clean.
Yeah. Thank you. It's a very hygienic house that we have here. Oh boy. Well, we're going on our baseball trip this weekend.
We are.
You haven't forgotten, have you?
No, I took off work on Friday. So.
Unlike Chad, who I have not heard from in 6 weeks. He said, yes, I think I could do that. And I said, great, I'm buying the Airbnb. And then since then have not heard back from him. And his blue iPhone bubbles are still green. I don't know what is he out of that probably happens if you're out of the country, right?
Yeah, I would guess maybe.
Do we think Chad is
not really
coming on this trip?
Because
I do want to say I did pay already for the Airbnb with the understanding that we needed one big enough for 4 people, not 3 people.
I think Chad will come through at the 11th hour. He will literally, I'm going to wager, he calls you the day we're leaving saying, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I flaked on the date. I'm trying to find a flight to Milwaukee right now." Actually, no, I'm sorry. I was like, "I'm trying to find a flight to Chicago right now." And you'll clarify, "You don't need to go to Chicago. We're going to Milwaukee this year."
Yep.
And they'll say, "Okay, well, I'm already on the flight to Chicago." So,
and there's no flights to Milwaukee after I land, so I'll see you on Saturday. There is a very good chance that is verbatim what happens. Oh boy, he's a real wild card.
Oh man, is he ever?
Yeah, I think that's right. He will call. The only way I would adjust that prediction slightly is that he will call on the day that we move, but it'll be, we have arrived at the stadium, and then he will call to say, "I'm so sorry, I'm on my way."
Yeah.
So we'll be at game 1 of 3, and that's when he will reach out for the first time. Then he will say he will be there, and he will not, and then he won't show it up at all. He won't show up at all. He'll be that's what will happen. So you and Cody are good with paying more money than you did so far, right? Because
I mean, only one of us is Chad's best friend here.
Well, that's a best is interesting. Oh boy. Are you looking forward to watching baseball this weekend?
Sure.
You've been to Brewer Stadium before, or
I have been there.
American Family Stadium, I think it is.
I have, yeah. I have almost it's easily the stadium with the worst fans, all of baseball, hands down.
I'm sorry, even worse than Dodgers?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, so we went to Dodger Stadium. There were a bunch of like families around, and like we were in Cardinals gear, you'll recall, and we took photographs in the parking lot wearing a latex Cardinals mask after we'd won.
They didn't let us wear into the stadium, by the way,
for our own safety. But we took photos like in the parking lot with Dodgers fans screaming "cacaw," wearing a Cardinals rubber mask.
That's true.
With them. I did not get shot. I did not get pushed or anything like that.
That's true.
When I went to the Brewers Stadium with my 7-month pregnant wife at the time, I was pushed while trying to leave because somebody did not appreciate that I had a Yadier Molina jersey on. Period. That was it. That was the entire infraction.
How can you hate Yadi?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't care who you root for. He's Yadi.
And so he pushed me, and I turned around. I saw my pregnant wife, and I looked back at him, and I thought, really? Like, in this situation? This is how... So I just turned around and walked the other way and thought, you know what? None of this is going to turn out very well. So walked out the other end of the aisle.
You know, I'm not a violent person, but I'm a big person. And so people think that I might be.
One of the main factors in our friendship is that everybody needs a friend bigger than them. I'm not entirely sure who yours is, but you're clearly
Chad's
mine.
pretty big too. He's not as tall as me, but he's big. He's big.
Yeah, exactly.
So obviously if he does show up, that could be fun.
Yeah. Cody, we're obviously all Cody's big friend. So
yeah. But Cody looks at you like with such disappointment, it's withering.
It's true, yeah.
So he's got that going. Oh boy.
Are you killing it? Like, do you not have a story tonight? Is that what's going on? We're 27 minutes into the recording right now.
Well, you'll remember 20 minutes of that is your daughter, then my wife, just like stopping into chat. Also, not all of us are 27 minutes in. I'm only 23 minutes in, and I wish you would please stop recording before I get here. I'm going to go get a different. I'm going to get a backup drink because this one.
Yeah, I've only got like a spit left in mine.
Okay, let's do that. I'm going to mark this on the audio.
We'll get a little cup of apple ambush, I think.
Oh, God. Oh, yeah. Gross idiot. All good?
Oh yeah. Oh, pour myself a glass of rye instead.
Ooh, I wish I had. I don't have any.
Get the High West.
Oh, it's good stuff.
So
the
good.
Double rye or the rye?
The double rye.
What I do have is.
So pour.
God,
that looks good.
It does look good, doesn't it? Aaron's brother showed up. They were staying at a hotel because they were in town because Aaron's niece had a volleyball tournament, like a club volleyball national tournament at McCormick Place. It was
wow.
Yeah, it was a huge thing.
Jesus.
And they came over for one evening before they left. And he came over, he's like, "Oh, hey, I got some beer for you." I was like, "Oh, that's nice. Thank you." And he goes, "Yeah, it was just sitting in the lobby in the hotel, just like on tables." And I said, "What?" And I guess most of the parents were like, they went immediately to the nearest liquor store, just bought up all this beer, and they were drinking all weekend. And I was like, this actually makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And then when they were all leaving, they were unloading, just like putting beer on the table for whoever wants it. And he's like, "Clayton will probably like that." And I said, "Yeah, that's so great." So yeah. Ugh. All right, you can have this bottle.
Okay.
I'm bringing it on the train. Whew.
Would it be better around Christmas? It's a little Christmassy.
You know what? If you warmed it up and made it like a mold thing, that could be better.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe I'll keep it till Christmas.
Okay.
Oh, boy. Ugh. Oh man, I haven't had Sapporo in so long. That's good.
Fine beer.
That'll work. Okay. Well, do you want to hear a ghost story?
You know what? I do. I've been waiting 30 and a half minutes for a ghost story so far. So
good news for listeners is they probably only listening about 23 and a half minutes at this point.
Fucking help them. God help them.
No one yet has reached out to say that we should cut down the intro. So I think I'm just encouraged. I think one of these days we're going to do a 45-minute intro and a 15-minute ghost story. And I bet no one bats an eye.
Can that be today?
No. You've got a long way to go. And thank you. Today's story came from a listener of his ghost. Really? Yes. So thank you to Aaron Smith. Whoever you are, wherever you are, I thank you. Thank you for shouting down the stairs. Hey, I have an idea for your ghost
Interesting. The name sounds so familiar, but I can't place it.
Yeah, Aaron suggested this one, and it was very good. So I'll tell her thank you later. But
okay, I appreciate it.
I thought if you wanted to say thank you, this is how you could say it to her, and she would
in the now, in the podcast.
Oh. Yeah, but like sincerely.
Hey, Aaron Smith, wherever you are, I really appreciate you doing a little bit of Clayton's work this week. I know you pretty much do all the work anyway, but it's nice to see you pitching in that last 1%.
You do all of Clayton's other work all the time. And she went the extra mile for sure. So here we go. Okay. David Belasco was born in San Francisco, California in the year, do you want to guess?
2000.
Nope.
1785.
Nope.
18 something.
Getting warmer.
All right.
David Belasco, born in San Francisco in 1853. His parents were Abraham and Reina Belasco. They were Sephardic Jews who had immigrated to the U.S. from London during the California Gold Rush. Okay. I think Sephardic Jews, I had to look up, they are a group who normally are in, I think, like the Spanish coast. So his parents lived in a Spanish neighborhood of London for Jewish folks. And then they thought, I guess they thought, let's go get rich.
Well, I mean, yeah, who wouldn't at that point?
Yeah. So they come up, but that's a long trip at that point because the Panama Canal does not exist yet. So London, I guess you go to New York and train.
Do you go
across?
overland? I imagine you go overland at that point. But there's no train.
6 months.
It's 1850. Like you're taking fucking wagons.
Well, we haven't done our other podcast yet. When do trains start? When do trains start running into each other? What year is that? God, so you're going in like Conestogas?
I guess you must really want that gold at that point because
God,
it sounds really uncomfortable.
So they set out in 1848 and they got there in 1962. So they go in 1849, famously, is when the California Gold Rush really hit the 49ers, etc. So they're there. So he grows up in San Francisco. He started working in theater at a very young age.
I'm sure his parents were very excited about that, by the way.
They saw the
We
prospects.
went all this fucking way. We left London, and now you want to do theater?
You go work in the mines like your father. So as a young boy, he worked as an extra, which is pretty good.
Even more proud now.
Yeah.
You're not even in the play anymore.
A script copier.
He sounds so bad. I'm sorry. I guess someone has to do these jobs, but
I guess so.
This
is pre-Xerox.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense.
But it's still like post-printing press. I mean, like,
yeah, I don't know why. They were just like, I don't know. They're saving money. I'm sure he wasn't getting paid. He couldn't possibly have been. So they were like, well,
usually
we could do a printing press. It's a nickel per page, but
usually we pay the monk, but he's doing his silence thing right now, so it's going to be you this time.
An extra, a script copier, and a call boy.
Is it like a sex thing? I don't know.
I think so. I don't. I assume it's when they call, like, you have like a call time when you're in theater, which is like the time you have to be at the theater. So it's probably something where he has to like go round up people to be in the theater. And again, in like 1860s, you're like, you're going to every saloon in town and you're like, please just go to the theater. I don't want to get hit in the face again by the boss. How's your audio, by the way? Because it's coming through here a little light.
My audio is great. I'm at a 3, a -3. Is that good?
I think so.
I can talk more directly into the microphone if you want.
It is sexier when you do that. No, it just kind of like got quiet here on it during our conversation at some point. So
interesting.
Yeah,
my levels still appear decent.
Great.
I'm
sure it's nothing. Let's go forward.
I can start adjusting the knobs if you want.
Oh God, please, please don't. Every time you say that, I should cut in the audio from the one time you did that, just so everyone knows what we're dealing with. So David was sort of, I don't think child prodigy is the right word.
Is there an opposite of prodigy? Like, I don't know.
It's not the opposite, but he did like to do it a lot.
Yeah.
So what's like the version of a child prodigy who just tries really hard?
Like a child enthusiast. No, that's not right.
That's very different. Child laborer, I guess.
Yeah, all these words make sense. Sure, why not?
So, but he took pretty well to pretty much every aspect of theater. He was just doing it all. So as a child actor, he appeared with Charles Keene in Richard III.
Oh wow.
Charles Keene, who you could probably tell us who Charles Keene. You seemed very impressed. Yeah, go on.
Yeah. Charles Keene. He was actually made all of his money in oil. I don't know if you knew
that. And then just bought himself away onto the stage.
Yeah, it's kind of sad actually. And then he ended up dying in a hail of gunfire in a Chicago street.
Oh wow.
1917. Yeah, that's tragic end.
I don't know. My research did not turn that out. That's
my research diverges from your bold statement.
Charles Keene was apparently a very famous British Shakespearean actor. And I guess there's a whole thing in the mid 1800s specifically for British actors to like come to America and like show everyone how good they are at Shakespeare.
Like a Lionel Messi thing. Like
yes.
It's
just like that.
Same
deal.
Yep.
Exactly. Yeah. They're selling
like
the jerseys.
They're done like winning their championships, making all their money, whatever. Now they're like, I'm gonna come play in America. Yeah. And see what that experience is like for like
I'm gonna go hang out in Florida for a while and really just soak it up. So Keene does this. So he comes over, and here's a fun fact I learned from reading stuff. Charles Keene's father, Edmund Keene, was also a famous actor, and he acted with Junius Brutus Booth, who was the father of John Wilkes Booth.
I didn't know the Booth family was a
they were all
acting
in
dynasty.
It was acting dynasty. Yeah, it took a turn at the end.
As all dynasties do. I mean, they.
That's right. Yeah, so the Kardashians, they had the one Kardashian had that thing where she
like a murder rap or something.
Had tequila, that was like you're exploiting Mexican people.
Well, in like the Patriots dynasty, that ended in like a lot of murder actually. So I mean, there's.
So yeah. So anyway, David Belasco. So he's acting with famous people, and he also acted in some shows that toured around the mining camps, which were probably very well received.
Yeah.
Is a quote from David. Quote: "We used to play in any place we could hire or get into: a hall, a big dining room, an empty barn, any place that would take us."
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is a good strategy for Is This a Ghost? We should start doing live tours wherever anyone will take us.
Literally,
Barns.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Rest stops.
So, yeah, why not?
Yeah, I don't see a problem with that. Kind of like a Bob Hope USO tour type thing.
It's like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like that, except the bombs that are dropping are our show. So let's see. In 1873, David's 20 years old. He's worked as an actor, as a director. He was a secretary at Piper's Opera House in Virginia City, Nevada, where he found, quote, more reckless women and desperados to the square foot than anywhere else in the world.
Okay. I think I figured out why he's not aspiring higher in his career. He's probably very busy. Is what it sounds like to me. Yeah.
Wink, you know what I'm saying? His time in Virginia City was indeed very instructive.
Mm-hmm.
While he was there, he saw, as he said, quote, he saw people die under such peculiar circumstances.
Okay.
And watching all these human people die under peculiar circumstances, I guess really affected him. He started paying attention to the way that people died, and he started noticing that the way people die in real life tends to be different from the way that people die on stage.
Okay.
Let's see. It made him, there's another quote, all the more particular in regard to the psychology of dying on the stage. I think I was one of the first to bring naturalness to bear in death scenes, and my varied Virginia City experiences did much to help me toward this. Later, I was to go deeper into such studies.
I mean, again, I'm not like a student of the stage, obviously, but I also don't recall a lot of people like walking down the streets of Chicago singing about their problems. So, I mean, some things are just different, between the stage and real life.
Yes, that's a good point. And I'm glad you brought that up. So you're talking about musicals, and that's a very valid question.
Right. People die in musicals, by the way. People do die in musicals, though.
They do all the time.
Point that out. West Side Story, spoiler alert, West Side Story.
And would you say that's the most realistic depiction of death that you've seen?
It is the only one I can recall from a musical. So I would say yes.
Okay, great. Sure. Now, David is referring to Old West theater here, which you've seen Tombstone.
I have. Was that originally a stage play that I'm not aware of?
In the movie Tombstone, there is a play where what's his name? Billy Zane's whole character is the actor, right? So they're
of course. Yes.
And there's like the whole like weird scene that doesn't make any sense where they actually go into the theater and they see it. And you see like the lighting effect is someone holds a bottle of whiskey in front of the light and it changes to like a slightly orangish color. That is pretty much how it is going. And so death scenes are there like, I stabbed you.
Yeah. Weird whiskey bottle.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Which is not obviously how it actually goes. When you stab someone, there's actually a lot of pain and blood and stuff.
Screaming and crying and shitting yourself. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And so he starts realizing this in Virginia City. And this plants a seed in his brain. So we'll come back to this.
So I mean, he sounds kind of like a Neil deGrasse Tyson type, or like people having too much fun with this like symbolic thing. I want to make it more realistic and less fun for everybody. So
yeah, he would have been great and terrible on Twitter for sure.
Do you know when you die, a weird orange filter doesn't light the sun around you when you die in the street? It's very odd.
Did you know that if you die, you actually shit yourself? And the whole place smells terrible. After a year in Nevada, David goes back to San Francisco and he manages the Baldwin Theater, which goes under in 1882. So David's out of a job and he's like, you know what? Fuck this place. I'm going to the bright lights of the big city.
Which
he moves to the Big Apple.
Oh, his parents probably like, we just left that place. We came all the way here.
It took us so long to get here from New York. How dare you? It's a real slap in the face. But he goes back to New York. Well, for him, it's his first time in New York, obviously. And he goes and he gets settled in pretty quickly. And soon he dives right into the theater world and starts associating with the Frohman brothers. This fucking app. I always take notes in the Notes app on the Mac. And every time I tried to write Frohman, it was fine, Frohman. But when I tried to write Frohmans, because there are three of them, three brothers, when I say Frohmans, it automatically changes to Frogmans, which is nothing.
Yeah.
That's why would you change it to that?
Like Navy SEAL frogmen, but plural and spelled wrong. That's clearly what it is.
But like singular, then plural, frogmans. Right. So whatever. So the Frohmans, there were three brothers, and they're pretty famous in theatrical history. They're Daniel, Gustav, and Charles. They were big producers of theater and film. Now in 1880, the brothers started managing the Madison Square Theater. So David comes out and he meets them and he joins up and he's helping them with the theater, and it's great. The Frogmans, fucking thing. The Frohmans really liked working with David. He knows his shit. He's talented. He's like actually a good manager. He's creative and he's smart, but also like understands the business. He's quite good at this whole thing.
Okay.
So they keep him on because they know what they have in him. So he manages Madison Square Theater, and they also let him manage the old Lyceum Theater. And just so you know, the Lyceum there is a Lyceum Theater still in New York. It's the new, there's two. There was one and then it shut down. They opened the new one. So that legacy sort of still happens. So he's working the big theaters. And he really cements himself, David does, as part of the early Broadway scene. All right. Good. Any questions? I'm
starting to realize why Aaron was the one to suggest this, by the
way. All right. Now follow me on a slight detour here. In 1896, Charles Frohman, one of the Frohman brothers, he goes to lunch with a handful of other managers and agents. And they're just talking about like the business of theater and the state of theater.
Yep.
And all of them at the lunch had a national influence. So there was A.L. Erlanger, not Al Erlinger.
Yeah.
A.L. Erlanger and Mark Claw, which is the best name I've seen in a long time. These two guys booked all the biggest theaters in the South, all across Southern America, the Southern U.S. Samuel Nerdlinger and Frederick Zimmerman, they ran a ton of theaters in Ohio. Frohman and Al Heyman both owned theaters in New York and the surrounding area. And then the other Frohman brothers, they owned movie theaters that stretched across the country all the way to the West Coast. So these guys, they all work.
Heavy hitters. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Now, part of the economic model for live theater has always been the tour. So you do like the show on Broadway, then you tour around the country, as you know. So this lunch, the guys were like, you know what would be cool? What if we had a total monopoly over all of that? And they were like, we could do this. We could actually, because of our connections, because of what we do, like we could actually make a monopoly over the theatrical tours.
Okay.
So within weeks, they had formally linked all their theaters, and it was 33 of them to start, which again, in like 1882 is, 1896.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So they start linking their theaters together, and they make a pact, and they call themselves the Theatrical Syndicate. It's the nerdiest mob name I've ever heard in my life.
It's like a total like Captain America throwaway villain or something like that. Appeared in one episode in 1968.
And so the deal was like they linked all their theaters, and so they would go to the company managers, who are the people who book tours for the shows, and they would say, hey, if you want to book in any of our theaters, and we have the biggest and best theaters, you're gonna have to book in all of our theaters.
Okay.
And the company managers are actually like, this is great, because now I don't have to go to each individual theater around the country to try to book this tour. Like, that's a lot of work off my plate. If I can just tell you, put me on the circuit, let's do it.
Yep.
So they're into it. So that's great. So it's easy. Their life is easy. So now they start sending these tours just on these theaters.
Yep.
But of course, that means only the theaters in the syndicate get the touring shows.
Sure. Yeah.
So other theater owners got pretty mad about that. And in some places around the country, other theater owners were like, well, fuck you guys. We own the big theaters in the big cities. We're not selling to you. We're not partnering with you. We're going to beat you. Fuck off.
Yeah.
And that's when the syndicate realized like they don't actually need any of the big theaters in big cities if they could have the theaters that were on the roads into the big cities. Because these people aren't like the people who go to the theater aren't living in the cities. They're living outside, and they're traveling in. So if they can catch them on the way into the city, then they could have all their money. So that's what they did. So they connected with those theaters. So they made this huge network, totally fucking over all these other theater owners
of like suburban theaters, like in Aurora and
yes, exactly,
Chesterfield. Yeah. Okay.
So they did essentially they created a theater monopoly in America, and they squeezed out all these other owners. And the whole story of the syndicate I find so interesting, which is a whole different podcast. But so I don't get into too much weeds, but it is worth mentioning. The syndicate would probably have gone on to be long-term successful, even though despite the fact that even the actors were turning on them, because the actors were like, "Well, this doesn't seem cool, and you know, we don't really like being like kind of played here." But the syndicate had one very important competitor, which was the Schuberts. The Schubert brothers were the second largest theater holders in the country, and they had a weird relationship with the syndicate. But all that's important for the story is the Schuberts are trying to compete by buying up other theaters across the country and like getting their own
making their own network basically.
And it was going fine. It was really hard. They were kind of not winning that war until they were like, hey, wait a minute. We don't need to buy more theaters. We just need to work with the actors. If we can sign the actors to contracts with our theaters, then the tours will have no actors.
Yeah. Bingo.
So they did that. And the actors were already pissed at the syndicate for controlling everything. So the actors were like, yep, sign me up. So the Schuberts instantly like signed up all these Broadway actors and these tour actors. And the Schuberts are very pro actor, at least at that time. They got a whole bunch on board. By the 1908 season, the syndicate didn't have enough actors or plays to fill their theaters. And then the Schuberts put the nail in the coffin by they followed the syndicate around that year. Every place the syndicate had a show with their not very good actors. The next week, the Schuberts would open that same show with like a Broadway cast and just fucking ate their lunch all year long. All this is going to be somewhat important later. So back to Belasco. So David Belasco is there. He's working with the Fromans, but he doesn't like what the syndicate is doing. So he starts to like push back against the Fromans a little bit.
All right.
So in 1902, he breaks off from them completely, and he takes over the management of the Theater Republic, which is a theater and not a country.
Right. Yeah. Makes sense. Yeah. I think we've gone that far off, but yes. Yeah. And Theater Republic is a physical location?
Yes, it's in New York.
In New York, okay.
It is a Broadway theater, and he renames it the Belasco.
Makes sense.
And this is a pretty big deal because Belasco was on his own. He was his own producer for the first time in his life. Like he was just totally on his own. And he quickly found out that actually so like I said, the way he approached the idea of theater, which was kind of new at the time, which was let's make it look kind of realistic, or at least I think he called it naturalism.
Mm-hmm.
Let's like show people actually experiencing the things they're supposed to be experiencing.
Mm-hmm.
No one had really been doing that, and people were like, wow, this is great. Like this guy died, and it actually sounded like a guy who was dying.
He even pooped himself on the stage. It was great.
Amazing. They had smeared shit under all the seats. It was incredible. And because he's doing that, people are actually wanting to go see his shows.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is the first time in America, one of the first, if not the first time in America, that a producer is actually the one bringing in crowds. So like he wasn't writing the shows, he wasn't acting in them, he was just producing them, but he was producing them in such a way that like people were like, oh, we'll go see. So it's like no one had ever connected producers with, I need to see this show before. Mm-hmm. It was always, oh, this star is in it, or this person wrote it. Mm-hmm. Now it's like, oh, here's this suit who's kind of helping things get paid for. So this is a quote from someone, quote, Belasco was the first American producer whose name, regardless of star, actor, or play, attracted patrons to the theater. So he's bringing naturalism to the stage, and naturalism is when you use stagecraft to make the scenes look realistic. Mm-hmm. And no one had bothered with that before, at least in America, but he made, like I said, death scenes look like actual death scenes. He was the first one to use colored lights on like motorized color changing wheels to evoke mood. So if it's like nighttime or a sad time, blue light.
Okay.
One of his most famous productions was Girl of the Golden West. And this show opened with a slow sunset that lasted 5 minutes before any dialogue started.
Sounds pretty boring.
Which would be, which was boring.
Yeah.
But no one had ever seen like that kind of like progression of light change before. You know, it was that was very sophisticated.
I really do not envy the guy who's like sitting there with like the color gel, like slowly turning it over 5 fucking minutes. Yeah.
He got rid of footlights. Footlights were still a thing, and he was like, "Footlights are terrible."
Yeah.
So, and he started actually concealing lights so audiences couldn't see the light; they could just see the effect of the light.
Interesting.
Yeah. He equipped the theater's dressing rooms with lamps of several different colors so actors could see how their makeup looked under different lighting conditions. Like he's way ahead of his time.
Yeah.
This is again like 1900. Oh, and he did one show. The show was set in a cheap boarding house. So they built the set and they like kind of fucked it all up, try to make it look cheap and broken down and stuff. But he couldn't quite get it. This is a quote. So I went to the meanest theatrical lodging house I could find in the Tenderloin district and bought the entire interior of one of its most dilapidated rooms. Patched furniture, threadbare carpet, tarnished and broken glass, gas fixtures, tumble down cupboards, dingy doors and window casings, and even the faded paper on the walls. And they reconstructed it all on stage.
Wow.
So he's doing cool stuff.
Yeah.
So he's got his first theater. It's going well. And in 1906, he's given the opportunity to build a brand new from scratch theater right on 44th Street between 6th and 7th, right in the heart of Broadway. And he takes it. And he really wants to call this theater the Belasco, but he can't because he named the other one the Belasco. And there's a contract there. So he calls this one the Stuyvesant. And it opens in October of 1907.
What does Stuyvesant mean? Is that a term or a name?
I was hoping you would have some theories on this.
Oh, yeah. So Stuyvesant, I think it's kind of like effervescent, except with stew.
So effervescent stew.
Yeah. I would, like a carbonated stew. That's what that's what I'm gonna guess. I
would murder carbonated stew. That sounds actually pretty good. Oh, people eat gazpacho.
Yeah,
that's way grosser than carbonated stew.
Let's put some bubbles in there, you know.
Yeah, I would do carbonated stew in a heartbeat. Stuyvesant, I like it. So he's still managing the Belasco, but Stuyvesant, is like his theater,
right?
That he helped design. So after a few years, he decides he wants to be monogamous, and he quits as the manager of the Belasco, and he takes his name with him.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that theater becomes the New Victory, and then the Stuyvesant becomes the Belasco Theater.
It's gonna be so confusing for people.
It's very tricky.
It's such a mean thing. Like the Yellow Pages are probably so confused.
God damn it! We're still relevant right now, and we have to reprint all these pages. But the Belasco Theater, this Belasco Theater, is still standing today and still operates as a Broadway theater.
Wow. Okay.
So, and it's a gorgeous theater. And David, when he was building it, he brought a man named George. It's probably Keister. Could be Keister. To design.
I'm going to go with Keister on this one. I'm sorry.
I really want it to be Keister.
Keister's a lot funnier.
So David Belasco, his thought on the theater was that he wanted it to feel like a comfortable, like, living room space.
Yeah.
He thought good theater meant the audience should be as close to the actors as possible. And so Keister designed it that way. So it's more so than other theaters, like the seats are right up against the stage. Keister also used the Neo-Georgian style. Do you want to explain to us what the Neo-Georgian style is?
Neo-Georgian. So that's, I mean, it's in English. It's the new Georgia style. And I would say the new Georgian style is probably what we would nowadays called arena seating, to where like the seats are more like on a wall almost, so everybody gets a good view
on a wall. Seats on a wall,
say. like vertically, basically,
Yeah,
like
so you're climbing a ladder
seating.
to get to your seats.
Stadium seating. My
stadium
seating.
Okay.
Yes. I couldn't think of the word. Yes.
And that's reflective of old Georgian style in what way?
Because the original Atlanta Falcons stadium.
Keep going.
It debuted right around the same time, so it just kind of stuck on.
It did.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, anyway, do you have any more information on it, or are you just going to let me?
I do have some more. So the Neo-Georgian
Okay.
style, which was primarily used for residences. So lots of residences having stadium style
seating. Yeah, sure.
seating.
Yeah. My house does. I don't know if your house does. Our house is kind of expensive though, so I don't know.
I thought those were stairs behind you there. I didn't realize.
No,
we actually benches.
Yeah. We eat dinner on a wall. It's pretty wild.
So he gave the theater a comfortable, familiar feel. Felt like being in a home in some ways. The Belasco had Tiffany lighting and ceiling panels. It's very nice.
Wow.
Had very rich
expensive.
woodwork. It had 18 murals painted by Everett Shin, who is a pretty famous artist. I didn't know the name, but I looked up some of the work, and I'm like, oh, this is familiar. So there's a piece at the Art Institute, which you've seen before. You've been to the Art Institute of
Chicago
before?
Yes, I have many times.
So you've probably seen this piece before. It's out. I'll link it to you here. It's called the Hippodrome.
Oh, I have seen the Hippodrome. Yes. I have seen this painting before.
Yeah. So
beautiful.
This artist did 18 different murals inside of the theater. So it's great. It's a gorgeous space. And David moves into an apartment above the theater. And his apartment has the decor of a Gothic church. Which feels like...
He sounds like a very particular type, is what it sounds like to me.
I think so. God, it's the worst kind of place to live. I don't want to live in a place where I'm constantly being reminded of how ashamed God is in me. That's how I want to wake up to every day. This building cost $750,000 in 1907.
Holy shit.
Would you like to guess how much money that is today?
I'm going to guess that's about 12 mil today.
25 million.
Ooh, my goodness.
So it's amazing. And then Keister, the architect, he went on to design quite a few other theaters. This is one of his first, but it went so well. They're like, you're our new theater architect. One of the ones that he designed was the Apollo Theater in Harlem. Very famous Apollo Theater.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, this is a ghost.
Does a ghost show up at some point?
Yeah, we'll get into
past the 60-minute mark right now.
Well, it's not. Once we edit, it's going to be like 20 minutes. So in Belasco's apartment above the theater, which was huge, it had salons, bedrooms, dining areas.
I'm sorry.
You're making it last longer.
I need to know though, because I don't have to Google it. What is a salon? What is a salon in an apartment?
That's a very good question. Yep. I think it's like a parlor.
Okay.
Because if you have like a salon, like kind of the classic, one of the classic definitions of salon is like you have people who gather in a room and you all like kind of to share ideas or share. So like, there's like an artistic salon, which is like, we'll get together and I'll read some poetry I wrote and you'll play some music that you are tinkering with or whatever.
And nobody's cutting anybody's hair. Doesn't sound like. Is that right?
I don't want to, that could be someone's art that they're sharing you know, look, I'm really Edward Scissorhandsing my way through life right now, and I'm really experimenting with new styles. So you could do that at a salon. Yeah,
I'm just not sure how we got like from A to Z on that one. Like how we got from like place to share ideas to like great clips. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me, you know.
I mean, we calling great clips. Are we calling great clips a salon? Are we? That feels generous.
It's in the. I think it's in the name. But yeah, no, it's. I've never shared any ideas in great clips.
Yeah.
No, I've not.
Well,
I've
that's not true because I know one thing about people who cut hair, and it's that they just talk forever. And all I want to do is sit there and be quiet, and they just keep asking questions. And so I think it's a. Like,
what are you doing this weekend? Nothing interesting. Please just finish cutting.
I just close my eyes and just wake me up when his haircut is over. This is the one chance I have for quiet. Please.
You guys have laughing gas here, right? We can do the gas.
It's like a dentist thing.
My wife will drive me home from the hair appointment. So she's waiting in the car.
My hair hurts so much when you cut it. Could you please? You have the gas, right? Says multiple salons, multiple bedrooms, multiple dining areas, a living room, a studio, and throughout the entire space, so he showcases all his theater memorabilia, of which he has quite a lot, a very impressive collection of art, and erotica.
I mean, at that time, I mean, it's not like so it's
Here's
not
a
like
painting of a lady with an umbrella in a dress.
It's not like today, where like admittedly today we have too much stuff. You know, I'm just.
So it's not like TV screens on the walls with Pornhub playing.
Right? Yeah. Like everybody has access to that. I mean, back then, whatever you owned, because you probably didn't own much, you put it up on the wall. If you liked erotica, well, then you showed everybody erotica.
That's true.
If you liked, cat
where did
paintings,
you find that?
Put them up on the fucking wall. Sure, there was no shame. It was actually more of a flex, really. Honestly,
it is.
I have so much free time and free money. I want to put fucking porn on the wall.
This is where the research gets a little hard here because
it does.
It's Belasco. So David, he was married. They're all dead. Everyone's dead in the story.
I'm sorry. All right.
He first met Cecilia Lovrich in California when he was working in San Francisco, and they were married in the 1870s. I didn't find out about this till I started reading about the erotica, which is weird. Like she's almost like, I don't understand. She's not mentioned almost at all in any of the pieces that I read. I'm sure there are like books and stuff, like actual books that talk, but like,
but until I got to the erotica part, no.
But I read a lot, and like no one mentions her. I had to like go searching for her to be like, oh, he was married, because I was like, why? It's weird. I guess maybe he's like a bachelor kind of guy, and it's not true. He was married apparently very happily.
Yeah.
She was just cool with erotic on the walls, which I think is great. But when you find mentions of her, this is a line that keeps popping up about her, and it is this quote: David Belasco was married to Cecilia Lovrich for over 50 years. They had two daughters, Raina, who later married producer Morris Guest, and Augusta. End of mention of any of his family. I really couldn't find anything about Cecilia. So I actually had to go to the New York Times archive to find her original obituary.
Oh my God.
To get any information, which is super weird. So I don't know what's going on here. Why she's being erased from Belasco history. But according to the obituary, Cecilia was actually very instrumental in convincing him to move to New York.
Okay.
And was very supportive his entire career. And for some reason never mentioned, which sucks. Also found out their daughter Augusta was born in 1880. So like right when they moved to New York. She died in 1911. And after that, it's like Cecilia didn't leave the house much.
Okay.
Very sad. Yeah. And obviously David's living a very public life. Like he's out in the theater. He's out, he's out. So whatever.
It's gotta be pretty bad. Like if you're how old was the daughter when she died?
She was 31.
Yeah, and then the mom became a shut-in in the apartment.
Yeah,
full of erotica.
Yeah.
That's got to be tough. You're trying to mourn.
It's very distracting.
And there's a lot of erotica around.
David, can we cover some of these for a few weeks?
Can we have like a room without this? Maybe. No.
No.
Every north wall should be covered in erotica.
Do you know how hard this is to come by? It's wonderful how much euphemisms are worked into our daily language, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. It really is.
The other thing I couldn't find much on, but apparently David was also something of a ladies' man.
Oh, really?
Which I feel like that feels like a very gentle term for, like, if you're an early 20th century ladies' man, you are sexually assaulting women constantly. I think I'm pretty sure you're an unholy sex pest. He was, I guess, known to creep on the actresses a bit. So
like a New York producer that's also kind of a sex pest. That's So his legacy's a little complicated. He's like, he was great at theater, very intelligent, very smart, very forward thinking. Also sexually assaulted lots of people, probably. I couldn't find anyone on the record as being upset by this. It's probably, some of it's baked in, I guess, to the time. Yeah.
I don't know, whatever. It's hard to litigate this kind of shit from here. But it seems like it was generally considered all in good fun to engage in light sexual harassment. So Belasco builds this incredible Broadway empire, around his work and ingenuity. And he also liked erotica and
his wife didn't talk much.
And his wife didn't talk much.
Yeah,
and he,
awesome.
Harassed women, and he died in 1931 at the age of 77.
Full life.
Yeah, he sure did. And he was buried in the Linden Hill Jewish Cemetery in Queens. But his spirit was like, I got other places to be.
Not done yet.
Lots of unfinished business. So ever since his death in 1931, Belasco has been seen in the theater's private box during some rehearsals and on quite a few opening nights.
Oh, wow.
He'll look up to the owner's box and he will be there. You want to keep an eye on your investment.
It does make sense. I mean, was there nobody else in the owner's box?
Good question. He's usually alone, but sometimes he's accompanied by the Blue Lady.
I meant more like, are there no like corporeal beings in the owner's box?
It's David Belasco's ghost and the ghost of the Blue Lady.
And John Wilkes Booth sitting there, right? Free abreast.
So does this answer your question?
It does not. Okay.
I don't know.
That's fair.
But I mean, they're seen by someone, so probably other people in the box who are like, wait a minute, who are you and how'd you get here? So the woman who sometimes accompanies him wears a blue dress. There are two theories about who the Blue Lady might be. Number one, she may be the spirit of an actress who died after falling down the elevator shaft that led up to Belasco's apartment. This happens so often.
How do you wait? Okay.
I'm so confused by the idea of falling down an elevator shaft. There's got to be alcohol at work, right?
Yeah. Like a heavy dosage of absinthe has to factor into this, I'd have to imagine.
I mean, doors open, and an elevator is one of the places for sure you look before you step.
I mean, I do personally, even nowadays when they're like pretty safe.
I can't imagine how drunk I would have to be to not look and see if there's an elevator there. It's famous for being an open space where you, even if you're in the elevator, you can die at any time. Like what? It's very confusing. So anyway, so she might have been a woman that did happen to a woman. So it may have been her, or she may be the ghost of a dancer who hung herself in the Belasco Theater's basement, which is also a thing that happened at some point.
Never a good sign whenever they don't know which ghost you are.
Yeah,
not a good sign.
Ghosts. But Belasco doesn't only show up in the box seats. So to this day, Female actors will feel fingers pinching their bottoms backstage.
Mm.
There's no one else around.
Yeah, the pest is back.
Yeah. Yeah, one of the articles like, he's still up to his old tricks. Like, it's
not how it works.
Genteel way of, of saying that. One woman who was performing at the Belasco some years back said she was taking a shower in the dressing room when her bathroom door was suddenly flung open, and she stuck her head out to yell at the person who had done this.
Right.
But all she saw was a creepy blue glow.
Mm.
It could have been a blue lady, though.
Yeah, it certainly could have been. Yeah.
Could have been, yeah. Belasco's ghost really likes to appear after shows. So after a particularly good performance, he will sometimes show up backstage and shake hands with the actors. And they'll all be like, and there's like people back there.
Sure, yeah.
And so they're like, oh, yeah, okay, hello. It's a weird suit that you're wearing. It's old. And then they'll, be told that was the ghost of David Belasco. If the performance goes badly, sometimes he will trash the dressing rooms.
This sounds like a bit of a cop-out. I mean, you got to admit.
It was David.
I swear to God. I know I've been in here for the last hour drunk and pissed, but it was not me that trashed the dressing room.
I know that my agent did call immediately after I walked off stage and said, I will never work in this town again, but this was not me. A quote from one of the articles: furniture, vases, and belongings have been discovered thrown against their walls and doors after bad performances.
Interesting. And none of this sounds like Broadway performers after a bad performance. Probably like none of this.
Hard to say. Yeah. Hard to say. I'm going to take that. Now that I am friends with several, I'm going to take the fifth. I'm going to. I don't know if they listen to this or not. But
the ones I know are very, very level-headed.
They're very pleasant. They would never do that. None of them would.
Nor would they have bad shows. Frankly, I mean, it's hard to even believe.
Yeah. There are some non-functioning elevators at the theater, by the way.
Mm-hmm. Sounds like at least one. So.
And I guess there's a set that are non-functioning anymore, and they sometimes though are heard to be moving and going up to the penthouse. They don't work anymore, and voices can be heard inside those elevators as well.
Yeah.
Sometimes the actors backstage will smell cigar smoke, even though no one is back there smoking.
Okay.
David Belasco, as a man who lived at the turn of the century, loved cigars. And like I said, it still operates as a Broadway house today, the Belasco Theatre. But lest you fear going to the Belasco because you don't want to see a ghost. And I should say, it's a plug for Broadway. Right now is a great time to go to the Belasco because they're showing Goodnight Oscar, which just won Tonys, and apparently it's fucking incredible. And it opened in Goodman first. It was pre-Broadway at the Goodman here in Chicago.
Oh, wow.
Aaron and I almost went, and we were like, no. And now tickets are 17 times more expensive, and you have to go to New York to see it. And I'm very upset. Sean Hayes is in it. It's a whole thing.
Oh my gosh,
it looks very good.
What happened to the to the one that I went to the premiere of here in St. Louis? Do you remember?
Say more about that.
The Karate Kid. You were there?
The Karate Kid.
Yeah, you were there, dude.
I was there. Yeah.
What happened to that one?
We met. What's his name?
Yeah, we met the guy.
We met
not Ralph Macchio.
Cobra Kai himself.
We met not Ralph Macchio.
We did not meet Ralph Macchio. We did meet, and he made us all do fists up.
Mm-hmm. And his name was obviously.
Oh, are you waiting for me? I'm waiting for you.
Maybe I should. Karate Kid villain. Johnny Lawrence.
That's right. Of course. Famous Johnny Lawrence.
He is an actor, though, I believe. So, Billy Zabka.
Billy Zabka. Yeah. Of course. Billy Zabka, who is super nice to us.
Yeah.
I hope he doesn't listen to this podcast because he will be so hurt that we talked to him for a little while.
He will come to your house and he will punch you in the face is what's going to happen.
But then he'll hug you and he'll say, I'm sorry. That hurt me more than it hurt you.
Yeah. Let's combine our dojos. And I'll be like, I don't really have a dojo. I have 3 girls and a lot of stress. I'm sorry. I don't really.
Please don't teach them karate. It's still TBD.
Oh, really? That's a shame. It was good. I liked it.
It was good. It was actually quite good. I liked it a lot. I was very pleasantly surprised.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm sure it'll hit eventually.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
It's tough. It's tough game. Anyway, where were we? Oh, so if you're like, I want to go see shows at the Belasco, but I'm kind of afraid of ghosts. Don't worry too much, because on February 17th in 1971, there was an off-Broadway show, a pretty famous one called Oh Calcutta.
Oh, I know that one. Yeah.
Do you?
Oh Calcutta is the name of a famous album. Oh,
okay.
Let me find it.
Not the same. Go on.
By oh my god, yeah, by the Lawrence Arms. Yep.
By what?
The Lawrence Arms.
Is this like a Joey Lawrence, the Lawrence Brothers band?
No, Lawrence Arms is. Are they from Chicago? They're a band I listened to when I was growing up. They're like they're a punk band, but they released a famous album called Oh Calcutta.
Okay.
So.
Well, before that, there was an off-Broadway show called Oh Calcutta, which I think it gets its name from. There's some literary piece, I think, that all that comes from. But anyway, Oh Calcutta was off-Broadway. It makes the jump to Broadway, Living the Dream, and they open up in the storied Belasco Theatre. Now, Oh Calcutta was a very risque piece. It had a whole lot of nudity. And just to really drive it home here, I'm going to send you a link to the picture of the playbill. There you go.
Okay, and I'm clicking, and I'm seeing a lot of buttholes. That's surprising. And
yes, not something you see on a playbill often. Buttholes.
Is the butthole called Calcutta? Because that's kind of what I get. The impression that I get.
I don't. It's hard to say. I don't know.
Like if I see a butthole. First word out of my mouth is probably going to be butthole. You know, butthole. And so if I say "Oh Calcutta," that's clearly like code. You know.
Yeah, it could be.
Like if I see you, like if we're at the mall and we're talking, and all of a sudden I see a butthole, if I like elbow you and I'm like Calcutta, clearly that means I'm
sorry. So if we're at the mall, you're telling me if we're walking through the mall,
right? Yeah.
As we do, and you think that you might see a butthole,
right? Yeah,
at the mall,
right? It's not common. It's not common, okay. But if it happens,
and then if it happens, and I'm
going to let you know.
I'm
going to give you an elbow. I'm going to give you like an elbow, like hey, check it out,
Calcutta. and you think I would know. Just intuitively.
No. I don't say you. I'm saying like back then, right?
Maybe in 1971.
Yeah, maybe like back then. I don't know. I can't put myself in that mind frame, but maybe back then that's what it meant. You know.
Okay. I can't say that it didn't mean that.
So we're just gonna go with it.
Okay. So anyway, Oh Calcutta ran at the Belasco for a year and a half, and according to some pretty reputable sources, aka the internet. The ghost of David Belasco did not approve of the full frontal nudity. It was male and female full frontal, and the ghost of David Belasco.
Oh, with the backle, full backle.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Can we? It's such a long episode. Can we just? I don't want any more hypotheticals about buttholes because I don't understand any of them. I don't. I don't think I feel adequately represented in your theoreticals about public butthole viewing.
I'm going to go back to the link that you sent me.
So David Belasco's ghost apparently saw all this full frontal nudity and said, "This is not becoming of my theater. Fuck this, I'm out." And so quite by accident, apparently, Oh Calcutta has exorcised the ghost of David Belasco from the theater. And that's the story of the Belasco Theater. Now I do have a kind of a bit of a coda that does tie in the story of the Fromans and the Schuberts to all this. But first we should say, this is a good time for us to say, please, hey everyone, rate and review and tell your friends. We're stalling a little bit about 300 listeners, which is a lot. It's a lot more than I ever thought we would have. and that's great. And we love every single one of you. But this more would be,
we can do better. Yeah,
we can do better. I think so. And if you're listening, this is the end of the show. So if you're listening all this way, you probably think we could do better too.
Yeah.
And if you take a few seconds to rate and review, that would be really helpful. And just share it with all your weirdest friends. Just all the people who like weird stuff. Love it. They will love it. That would be great, and we'd be grateful. And Patrick will Patrick will show you his butthole maybe if you do that. So
Calcutta.
So then the little coda that ties it. So Belasco, like I said, died in 1931. In 1948, the Belasco Theatre was purchased by the Schuberts.
And finally got their revenge.
Yep, they solidified the entire.
They burned it to the ground.
And they say, "Wait a minute, stop! It's such a nice theater." The Schubert brothers obviously long gone, but the Schubert organization still owns the Belasco, so they really took it to the syndicate. Other people, and that's the story for this week.
Wow.
Thoughts? Any final takeaways that you want to? Any anatomical comments you'd like to make before we leave here this week?
I think I'm good at the moment. Just really excited to learn about Calcutta.
I'm sorry we did this, Aaron. Aaron, this is your fault. I don't like it. Goodbye, everybody. That's more than enough, and we'll see you next week on Is This a Ghost? Boy. Episode 59.
The Cardinals made sure to go and fuck everything up. Really appreciate that.
I mean, what is going on with them this year?
Bunch of suck. Whole bunch of suck.
I mean, I've not been paying very close attention.
Mm-hmm. You don't have to.
Every time I check in, we've lost by 30 runs. What is happening?
Tonight they only lost by 1 in their defense.
Oh, Contreras,
but it was to the
3 for 4 with a homer.
Yeah,
you feel stupid for saying mean things about him. How do you make it to the majors and not know which pitches your pitcher throws?
I was totally on his side throughout this whole thing. It sounded like a bunch of made up shit, and pitchers trying to find a scapegoat or whatever. And then after I read that, I thought, that's pretty bad. That's not so good.
It's just wild. Let's see what ticket sales look like for the White Sox game.
I have a feeling tickets will be plentiful. I took Ben to a White Sox game long time ago, probably 15 years ago.
Ben Unglesby. He was visiting. I don't remember why he was visiting. He was visiting Chicago, and I took him to a White Sox game. So White Sox and the Angels, I think. Okay. It was 28 degrees. It was just miserable. We stayed for 4 innings. It was fucking awful. So this will be different.
Hoping for something better.
July, so we're going on the 9th. Let's see. On their official website. Oh, we get free tickets for this one. I don't even know why I'm looking. Who cares?
Oh, fuck yeah.
Oh my god, there's nothing but availability. Holy shit. Almost every single section is blue on Ticketmaster.com.
Where do you want to sit? What do you want to pay?
Wow. Cheapest seats are $10, and there are a lot of $10 tickets. Wow. Well, that's cool.
Yeah, StubHub going to that that minimum ticket cost whatever a few years ago. I understand why they did it, because MLB was getting so dragged for having 25-cent playoff tickets in Cincinnati. But at the same time, I do kind kind of miss when you could just go to a game
25
for literally
cents.
nothing, you know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's good for the stadiums at least. Like if, you know, I'd pay $1 for a game, $10 might be a deal breaker.
Yeah.
I'd go for $1 and then spend $50 on fucking
sure
beer and nachos.
Yeah. Yeah. They just hated the negative press of having like literally just being free to get into a game, essentially.
No such thing as bad press.
Yeah.
You know? That's what they say.
Mm-hmm. People say things.
Some people say things like, oh, Calcutta.
Oh, Calcutta.
All right.
So 50. Why do I have all these episodes on my desktop still?
I was just looking at that for me too. I guess I should keep them, but I could at least zip them up.
58, 59, 57. Okay, everything older goes away now.
Yeah.
52. Christ almighty.
Patrick Audio 59.
This goes here. This goes here. Okay, good. All right. I am going to go to bed.
You do that. Where the fuck did my thing go? 1 second. Stay with me while I do this. Oh, there it is. Okay. Yeah, go to bed.
Cool.
All right. Thanks, dude. I guess I'll see you on Friday, huh?
Yeah, I'll talk to you in about 7 hours.
Sounds great. I love waking up.
See you, buddy.
All right, good night.
Bye.